Okay, hello everyone who have joined today. We're gonna slowly start our live session. This is the second chapter of our three-chapter series. The first one that we had last month, we talked about machine monitoring, stock management, and alerts and events. Today, I'm gonna talk more about smarter maintenance, things that are related to technical aspects of your vending fleet. And then the last third session is going to be about payments and our loyalty solutions. So if you have any questions, please use the chat option where you can leave them, and either me at the end or my colleagues are going to answer them. If you would like to see our previous recording, it's going to be available as well, and this one and the last one. So if we go to the next slide, please. We will actually start with who I am. My name is Tereza. I am the Global IoT Project Manager here at Vendon. And these are actually the common challenges that I see from my clients. We have them from all over the world. And actually the problems that they are experiencing are quite common. So today we have merged them in separate sections. But one of the main things that I'm hearing from most of them, either it's a small fleet or a large fleet across multiple countries, is that the business is going well. It's great, but sometimes the downtime is the one that is the big kicker for them. So today I will show you how you can optimize your business by using not only data, but our own Vendon intelligence to minimize these downtimes. So today I'm going to look at what's happening if you have unplanned machine breakdowns. So that's a direct cost for your business. What is within the high machine downtime? So what are the reasons that the downtime is happening? Time loss on unnecessary visits, but also with this economy, it's really costly for you to either have a long journey or having to purchase spare parts last minute, etc. And then also we're going to touch upon cleaning and the cleaning report. So if the cleaning is not done properly, you probably have invested quite a lot of budget for your machines, so you would want them to last as long as possible. So cleaning is one of the things that you should be paying attention to prolong the lifetime of your devices. Then a lot of my clients are actually focusing on delivering high quality products, and one of them that we specialize in is the coffee. So how can you provide a high quality coffee for your customers to retain them for a long period of time? So these downtimes and cleanings impact the quality of the drinks, of course. And in general, yes, how can you prolong the machine lifetime by having an overview of the things that are happening across your fleet? Next slide, please. Yeah, so in the previous webinar, we looked at overall what kind of data can you see on the Vendon platform. If this is your first time looking at it, we'll go slowly through it. But basically what we're gonna see is the real-time machine statuses. We're gonna see how you can manage the cleaning patterns, and I will show you some tips and tricks of how to be great by using the data knowledge to prevent the maintenance, because you want to be proactive rather than reactive to save on costs and other things. So let's go to me opening the platform. Give me 1 second. All right. So you should be able to see my screen. This is a demo account. So here there are many types of vending machines. So you're going to see some information that is related to our coffee clients and also snacking and drinks vending machines. So it's going to be mixed. But basically this view shows both information that is related to sales, but also information related to technical aspects. On the main dashboard, you can see that you have here 107 healthy machines. And then here you can see that that some of them need some attention. So either it's going to be a notification about stock, or it can be technical issues. So here you can see that these machines, and you can go more into detail, but these are the machines that are needing an immediate attention. So you would want to minimize that. You don't want to be running to the sites to fix problems. You want to prevent it. And then here you can see the top events that are happening with your fleet. So to explain more in details about events, I'll do it in a second, but here you can see that how many times, for example, here with frequency, how many times these issues are coming up. So you can start building up the predictability. Another thing that I suggest to my clients is that the more information you're able to put in to the Vendon platform, the more you can gain the knowledge from this. So if we go to machine monitoring, so here is going to be your whole fleet, and is going to be showing you the certain things that are happening with it. Then if we talk more about the technical events, so we go into the events section, we will place, let's say, last 7 days, show results. So here we separate events into things that are inactive or they are solved. Then blue ones are informative. So that's not something that you need to immediately act on, but it's just an information. So you have an overview of what's happening. And then in red, of course, something that you need to immediately do. So if we go into the filter, so let's say last 7 days, we can go into status. So let's say I'm interested in all of the active events that I need to fix. We can use the technical, and then we can see here what are the technical issues with the machines. So you can see that in this specific place, for example, so let's click on this machine. It shows you the location and an overview of what you see at the beginning that I showed you on the Vendon Cloud, but in machine-specific level. So stock, sales, encashment, refills, etc., but specific to this machine. So here, for example, you can see that it's in a railway station. It's generating sales, but one of the events is the fact that you should be paying attention on the thermostat that we saw in the previous slide. So then you can go and act and plan accordingly. So if we go back to events, we can also do something that is called a tag setup. So if we're setting up tags, give me a moment to load. So you can now see that, for example, let's take a manufacturer. Let's take VMF. And then here we will just click these things out. One moment. So yeah, so basically here you can see that we are capturing the information that is coming from a machine specifically. So it comes out as a code, but with our in-depth partnership with a lot of the manufacturers, we are able to actually translate them into something that makes sense for the users. So instead of receiving a code, it actually gives you a reasoning of what is happening with the machine. And then these tags allow you to then see in the big overview of the events, what are they related to. So here, for example, if we go back to events, let's take the last 7 days. Let's do a reset. 7 days. Look at all of them. So for example, here, you can see that these are related to service, these are related to products, and these are related exactly to technical aspects. So yeah, and another thing, if you go into monitoring, to give you a little bit of like a visual way, is that here, as I mentioned, you can see your fleet and you can see where are the machines that needs your attention. So this is a very helpful tool. Okay, if we move to the next step, we go into the planning section. We go into preventive maintenance. And here you have a list of all your fleet and what can you do about it. So this is specific machine, you know which location they are, what type of an issue or attention you need to pay attention to, and then you can see the statuses. So here, for example, we have status all, but you can separate them. So for example, here it's long overdue. So since March, there hasn't been maintenance done. So it's overdue. So you should probably go to those locations. You can put it into your planning. Due ones are the ones that is going to happen very soon. And you can put these things in with this timing that you want, so you can customize it. But you know that you should probably calibrate your grinder. So this is going to happen very soon. And the ones that are okay, so that's something that has been done. So you know that this specific employee, Henry, has changed the water filter. So this gives you an overview how to set up these sort of tags. You can do either by maintenance type. So here these are template options. You can also push a new type. So for example, here, let's say a filter change. And then you can add a condition, or no, here, let's say a water filter change. So here you can choose either you want to do sales, components usage, or a period. I will mention it a little bit later, but basically, so for example, here, you know that the filter needs to be changed after X amount of liters. So you could do a components usage and use milliliters, and then you write whatever number you want. And then you can add, let's say, water. And let's put some. You can say water. So then if you save it, let's do this. So now you can see that the one that we just made is here. And then you can either edit it, but this would produce a new type. And if we go back to preventive maintenance, you can then have the type in, and then you can start scheduling. So how does the schedule look? We will say water filter change test. That's the one that we just made. Technician time. Let's say that's probably going to take him, let's say, 60 minutes. This already shows you the conditions that we placed before, but you can also add it. So maybe we can do period. So let's say it's 360 days. And then here in the next one, it's targeted by either machine or specific location. Client is if you have a large fleet and they are, for example, renting devices from you. Let's say it's an office, so you can also target it by a client. And machine tags would be, for example, these tags you can also do as custom, but templated ones would be a snack, or let's say bottled drinks, or the same as a specific machine brand, for example. So let's say machine, and then we can do airport location. Take this one off. And then here, if you save it, it would save you as a type, but If you click on this one, it would generate the event in the listing that you have behind, but it also would generate an alert. And I'll show you the alerts a little bit later, but let's say we save it. So this way, you can see that you've made a new scheduling for our water filter change, which here is in the airport, and currently it's okay because we made these measurements. A nice thing here also is that here, for example, we've the same way as we put it here. We know that it should have been done on the 20th of March this year, after 5,000 sales. But here also it's predicting, so it's using our intelligence. So it's predicting that on this date it should again be. So this general cleaning should be done. So it would go from this section to due date and then overdue if it's not done. And then here you can also say, right, we went to the airport, we needed to do the water filter change, and then we press complete. Here we will make a new note. We said water filter X brand changed. Maybe you want to make a note that general cleaning needs to be done. Cleaning needs to be done, and whatever other notes you want to leave for your team. Here you can renew automatically or not, and we will just save it here. Right. So this is how it's done when you want to schedule these additional tasks for your team. Here also you have actually good thing to note. So this was the one that we made. So this specific person is assigned to this specific location, so that you can also edit that and make an assignee. So let's say we want Alberto to be in charge, and then we can just press save, and then we would be able to see that Alberto is the one in charge. So Alberto is actually going to get notifications about this specific preventive task that is related to him, that's related to this location. And you can add more people to it. But the way how I also like to show you is that if you go into settings, you can go into alerts, give it a second to load. But basically here with the alerts that you want to see in this event section, you want to see in the main dashboard, we can put a new one. Recipient, let's take the same Alberto. Channel, we have three options. One is that he, and it could be a salesperson that gets sales related information. But now we're talking about technical things. So Alberto is one of our technicians. So we want him to get only technical information, nothing else, to not overwhelm it. So then you can choose either you want this alert about the events to be sent via email, SMS, or application. Application is our own app where you can see this dashboard from your phone. So if you're on the go, it's very easy to use it. So let's say we want it to be triggered by the app, and then you can now say what events. So let's say water. Now let's do cleaning, for example, for him. So we want all of the events that have the tag cleaning. We want him to have a cleaning as well. Okay. It's not pushing, so let's change. Let's see. We could do, let's do maintenance. And then you can choose either all machines. You can choose my machines. My machines mean, as I showed you before, those are the machines that are attached to this specific employee. So let's say that he wants to be in my machines. The last one is custom, so you can fill that out yourself. But let's say only the machines that are related to him. and then you can save it. So now after it loads, you should be able to see that Alberto wants to get notifications via the app regarding maintenance, and all of the machines that are related to him is going to be sent to. Here we can edit it. All right. So now I will show you a little bit more about cleaning. So if we go into report section, you can see that there's a lot of options. There's also something that I love very much. So it's a report generator. So it's a custom report generator. But today we're going to look at the cleaning. Let it load. So right now, this view is only for yesterday. So let's click on last 7 days. Let's see if the information changes. So then here, but let's take a little bit longer. Let's say previous month. So do we want all machines? Yes. All locations, clients, depending on if you have specific clients and specific, if you have grouped specific clients. Machine tags, again, if you want to only look at the snack ones, or if you want to look at coffee, this would be very important for the coffee machines, by brand as well. But let's say all of them. So if we show all, it now shows that, let's click. Now it shows that these locations, for example, they have missed 31 cleaning in March. So that's definitely not okay. But the rest of them are doing quite okay. And this is an easy way for you to follow up what your employees are doing and prolong the lifetime of your machines by knowing that those are being cleaned. And another thing that I would like to show is a little trick. So if we go in sales overview, I know I said that I'm not going to talk about sales, but this is a good trick. We can go into March, for example, and then we can, let's see, sales, show results. No, let's do location. So this one is a good one. So what's happening with this location in March? It's a Norwegian business school. So you can see how many, these are sales. Let's do counts. So it's a coffee machine placed in a business school. So let's look at the count of the cups that are done per day for entire March. So you can see that there has been a spike, probably an event. You would know better. But basically what it allows you to see is that are there more drastical discrepancies in these diagrams? Because the more you use the machines, the more they wear out, of course. So in this situation, it doesn't seem that it's anything out of ordinary. At the same time, what I can see from this view is one, that the consumption of goods, so beans, milk, is going to be quite a lot. So we want to make sure that the refill is done on time. But another thing is that it could also show you that potentially you're not using a sort of strong enough machine. So if it's a very busy location, it probably needs a very sturdy type of a coffee machine, so it can accommodate these people, because they can it can implement the grinders, and it can implement the water filter, etc. So the parts can wear out much faster. You would need part replacement. So maybe if you look at, you can also do a custom range here. So if you look at a wider period, maybe it could be a good decision to move this coffee machine to a different location and purchase a little bit of a sturdier one. So that's kind of like a trick that you can see from the sales, and do these preventive steps slowly. So again, if you put if you put more information into the platform, the more you would be able to use this to predict certain things. I will briefly show you, I know that we're reaching out to the time, but briefly I will show you something that is together with the preventive maintenance, but it's something called route planning. So here, for example, you can see a map and you can see different kind of filters. So one is a product refill, cash control maintenance, and the tasks that I mentioned before. But let's say 10 days, we actually want to see a lot of the maintenance related things. So here you could see that you can choose different locations. So let's take these ones, and you can see how the map is moving, and then you can generate routes. It can help you quite a lot. So here we have certain things. So if we open up, we know that the employee Otto should go to this location and do the technical maintenance. If you click on it, it would show you what type of maintenance you've done. So here, for example, it's the thermostat that we saw before. And here, here also, okay, so these are technical ones that we see immediately. Oh, and here also a product refill. So if you go to the airport, there's going to be both product refill and a technical thing for the maintenance. So you can combine these. And then once you have this kind of an overview, you can change the date range as well. But if you don't, you can go into download and it would generate a PDF file for you to use. And then here also, if it's, for example, here, it's marked as completed. Previously here, no. So we can also click on it and click on it and mark it as completed by this employee. That can be done from the app, for example. So then this way, it will actually generate a route on either Waze or Google Maps. So it's easier for you to plan across your whole fleet and your employees. If we go into tasks and lists here, here again, you can see what we can generate for the route planning. So let me say a new task. I could say, let's say weekly cleaning. All right. Weekly cleaning. Oh, no, sorry. We'll do windows. Clean windows. We'll do clean on top of the machine if we want to do these tasks in one visit at a time. And then what else could we clean, for example? We can do general machine cleaning. Save as a list name, general weekly cleaning. And then we will see it in our task and task list. So here, that's the one that we just made. You can see if it's created. Is it used in the route that we saw previously? No, it's not, but we can assign it. And then here we can make edits with it. So if we would go back to the route planning and the route list, you would be able to now, from this new task list, also add this one that has all three options. So if we are going to a location to change a spare part or do a refill, we might as well combine it with these tasks and it would be visible to the employee that is looking at it at the time. So a little bit more accountability, a little bit step ahead to making sure that everything looks great, everything's working, and it's pleasant for your clients to use and purchase from you, of course. And then here, yeah, in regards to alerts, I know I mentioned it before, but it can be done for with the custom tags, and it can be done with specific users. I already said that. Great. I think, Christine, we can look if we have any questions in the chat. I will slowly finish sharing, and then I might have some surprises with some tips and tricks more. I'll give you a minute to write some questions that you might have, and if not, I'll share a screen and I'll show you some other things that we can do. Okay, maybe we'll start, while you're typing, I'll start with these little tips and tricks. One of the things that we can do, once you set up, this is coffee specific, for example. If you are setting up your recipe, so let's say a cafe latte is made out of beans, water, milk, etc., etc. So you can add water as a component to your recipes, and therefore it would count how much water is used related to how many cups are made and sold. So this way also it would calculate total water volume, and therefore it can generate an alert for event for water filter change. And you can make it into the settings under these recipes. You can place how many at what point the water filter should be changed. So instead of being blind and going to the locations, you can do it in advance. So you know ahead of time when you need to be doing these things. Same applies to a grinder. So you can look at the grinders that you're using. You can look at the manufacturer information that they are showing. So you can then use that to calculate when this grinder should be changed. Another thing, when it comes to components, you can place a critical level on your machines, both snack and coffee. So for example, I was showing you the business school. As a good example, they had an event coming up, so there's a lot of coffee being drank. So you can put on a critical level, let's say at half of a tank of your milk, that you won't want this event to be generated because you have these employees close to the vending machine that can go and do the refilling for it. And another thing for components is that if you have products that have expiry date that is very short, but also for long ones, you can put a specific expiry date in this specific machine with the pack of the goods that you're placing when you're doing refill. So it would show when it's expiring, and if it's still not sold, it would generate an alert for you to see on the events list, and it would also be able to be triggered to your employees that the expiry date might be soon. So these are kind of like these little tips and tricks that also help with being smart and proactive rather than reactive. Do we have any questions? Yes. So this is me. Here's my email. You're very welcome to write any questions that you have. We have a fantastic, smart team of people here at Vendon. We are human first, but with all the technology brains that we have here. So it would be able to, yeah, just send me a message and we'll figure out who's the best person to reply to you. Yeah, if you have any other questions, let me see. Yes, Ines is asking if we have temperature monitoring. Absolutely. So we have we can use the sensors that are built into the machines. So, for example, one of our hardware is called Barista Box, that is for traditional coffee machines. So there specifically temperature is extremely important to deliver high quality espresso shots. So we're able to read that information sent from the machine to monitor these changes in temperature, because often it actually indicates that if there's discrepancies, it indicates that there might be a kind of a a wrong usage of the machine, and there might be a downtime very soon. And we've noticed that with a lot of the clients that are, the staff's busy on the day, but the managers that are using Vendon Cloud, they're able to predict that and change the parts, so you don't have to lose money, because no one wants to lose money when you are in unattended retail business. All right, I think that is it with the questions. I'm very happy that you guys could join. And again, if you have any questions, you know how to reach us on LinkedIn, on email, on our webpage. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Bye-bye.